Hey everyone, it's the man Andy, baby, and I'm back! Finally, here to talk to you today. We're going to dive right into sports and pro wrestling. Starting off with my favorite team, the Pittsburgh Steelers. The 2024 schedule has finally been released, and I am so excited for these games. I'm going to tell you who all they're playing, and I'm going to give you my reaction to the schedule. First things first, week 1, Pittsburgh Steelers are going to start off the year. 1 o'clock game against the Atlanta Falcons. Week 2 at 4:25, it'll be Russell Wilson's welcome home to Denver. Another away game. Week 3 is the Steelers' first home game against the Los Angeles Chargers. And before they go away, week 4 to Indianapolis, and then they come back home to play the Dallas Cowboys. Oh boy. And then week 6 they play the Las Vegas Raiders at 4:05, and week 7 they play the New York Jets at home, and they play the New York Giants at home week 8 before going on a bye, and they're going to need it after the teams that they have to play after week 10. Week 10 they play the Washington Commanders. Week 11, they play the Baltimore Ravens. Week 12, they go to Cleveland to play the Cleveland Browns. Then they play away the Cincinnati Bengals. And then they come back home to play the Browns again. And then week 15, they play the Philadelphia Eagles in Philly. Then they play the Baltimore Ravens after that. Then on Christmas Day, they play the Kansas City Chiefs. And to be announced, their Week 18 opponent on a date and time, the Cincinnati Bengals. But man, what a schedule! This is brutal, especially as I said, weeks 11 through 18 are going to be really tough. I don't know what the Steelers did to tick off the NFL with this schedule, but oh boy, don't play a divisional opponent till week 11. And really, there's not too many games that'll be easy. I'd say a couple should be must be pretty easy wins with, I think, the New York Giants and the Washington Commanders. But other than that, the rest of the schedule is a gauntlet, I would say. Wow. That stretch from the Philly game to Kansas City, they play 3 teams in 10 days. That's just brutal, man. But hey, we're the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's what as saying goes, iron sharpens iron. Steel sharpens steel. So, here we go. But, oh boy, I know I'm excited to play week 5, them Cowboys, on Sunday night. A old school rivalry renewed it's going to be a banger of a game. I can tell you that's going to be for sure. Excited for that. Excited, even though it is a grueling schedule. It will be interesting to see how the Steelers are going to manage playing playing 3 teams in 10 games, especially the end of that 3 day or 3 games in 10 days, being the Kansas City Chiefs, your reigning Super Bowl champions. That's going to be something. But oh yeah, pretty exciting stuff. But that's not the only football news. I said I'm going to have the schedule here for you if you didn't see it yet. But other big football news. This is more on the video game front, and it's going to be if you've been living under a rock, college football is finally going to have their own video game for the first time in 10 years. The student athletes get paid $600 to be a part of the game for their likeness and name. That's pretty cool to say, hey, I'm a college kid and I'm in a video game. That's kind of wild, right? But yeah, for us big college football fans, this is, if you haven't been liking Madden for the past, I don't know, 10 years, because it's been about the same game, this might be the game to check out. It might be similar, but I mean, at least it's college. At least it's a bunch of schools are going to be in it. Favorite, Penn State. That's who I'll be. We are Penn State. Can't wait to see how that goes. I'm going to show you the cover and all that here. But yeah, some cool stuff going on there in the world of football. That is for sure. Alright, on to our next bit here. Going to talk about the NBA playoffs. We are now, it's been a while since I did have a show, so we're now down to 4 teams each. The Minnesota Timberwolves beat the Denver Nuggets, reigning defending champ, got sent home last night. Yeah, it's been pretty good playoffs so far, and the biggest shocker is definitely the Indiana Pacers sending the New York Knicks home. I don't think anybody saw that one, especially the way they did. All I gotta say, it must be the New York Knicks. It has to be, because you always hear other teams have big games in Madison Square Garden. For those of you who don't know, that is the home of the New York Knicks. Everybody, like opposing teams' players, have bigger games than the Knicks players. You have Jordan in the Garden when he dropped 55. You have Kobe dropping 60. I think Curry dropped 60 one time in Madison Square Garden. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry about that one, but I think it was something like that. It was a huge performance, but what I'm trying to say is it seems like other teams other than the New York Knicks have big games in Madison Square Garden than the New York Knicks, is what I'm trying to say. And the Boston Celtics basically swept the floor with Cleveland But yeah, so that means it is down in the East. It is down to the Indiana Pacers and the Boston Celtics, and in the West, it is down to the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Dallas Mavericks. Sorry, bro, your Oklahoma City Thunder got eliminated in 6 games, but I do agree that was a bad call on Saturday night. That was definitely not a foul. Hands part of the ball. He may have hit the hand. He may have hit the forearm after, but hands part of the ball. That should have been called. Not in Game 6 in that big of a magnitude. But that's all I got to say about that one. But yeah, so in the world of pro wrestling, we're going to start out with WWE. Last week, we had the what would be the semifinals for the King and Queen of the Ring tournament to determine who is going to take on who at the pay-per-view. First things first, we'll go to SmackDown, where a injured Bianca Belair defeated Tiffany Stratton, and Tama Tonga from the Bloodline defeated our guy LA Knight. Come on, WWE. So the Bloodline continues their reign, at least so they think. And by this was another, I know why they did it, but another dud for WWE here with Nia Jax. Even though it was by DQ, defeated Jade Cargill. There was a whole thing. Nia Jax ran up to Jade's daughter in the crowd, said something to her, ticked off Jade. Jade hit her with the steel chair. I think that was a bogus finish. I know why they did it, because of the SmackDown finals. They kind of probably didn't want Jade and Bianca to face each other just yet, and not on free TV. I think it'll be either a SummerSlam or a WrestleMania. Those two will face each other. But there was one huge banger on Friday Night SmackDown, and that was Randy Orton defeating Carmelo Hayes with one of the sickest RKOs out of nowhere. It was pretty cool stuff there. We'll go a little bit further back in the week to talk about what happened on Monday Night Raw, which is also going to be happening tonight. But we'll go back to last week's first. Alrighty, let me get this pulled up here. Sorry, we're having some tech issues here. Getting my results for Monday Night Raw up here. So, what happened on Monday Night Raw last week? Another controversy that happened with WWE. I like my boy Jey Uso. He's pretty cool dude. Yeet. But he defeated Elijah Dragunov, if I'm butchering the name. Sorry. He defeated him. I know that there was a little bit of backlash saying everybody wanted to see Dragunov versus the ring general Gunther, who defeated Kofi Kingston. But yeah, everybody does. I think this is really Gunther's tournament to lose. That's my prediction for the men's one, who's going to be the king of the ring. But yeah, I think they might be saving Gunther versus Dragunov for a match down the road at one of the big pay-per-views. But yeah, what else happened on Monday Night Raw here? Nothing too big on Raw, really, other than that. But Raw tonight, we're going to have Jey Uso taking on the ring general Gunther. So hopefully it's a good match. Their match for the IC title earlier on this year was pretty good. But yeah, that's what I got on the WWE side. Now we go to my other favorite pro wrestling, AEW. It was another. They had some more banger matches, I would say. Alright, let me get this all pulled up here. Okay, so on AEW Dynamite, that is on Wednesdays. That's like their regular typical show. For those of you that don't know about AEW, that AEW Dynamite would be like their Monday Night Raw, and they have another show called AEW Collision. That would be like their version of Friday Night SmackDown. And they also have another like smaller show called AEW Rampage. It's like an hour long. Some that recently they've been just instead of having it on another day, they usually combined it with one of their other shows. But yeah, pretty cool stuff going on there. First things first on AEW Dynamite, the Blackpool Combat Club, Bryan Danielson And Jon Moxley, for those of you who don't know who Jon Moxley is Dean Ambrose from that used to be in the Shield in WWE. Now he goes by Jon Moxley. They took on Jeff Cobb from New Japan Pro Wrestling and Kyle Fletcher from the Don Callis family. It was a pretty good tag team match. Lot of fun there. It's always good to see Bryan Danielson and Jon Moxley as a team. They're pretty good. But yeah, that was a pretty good match. We had Christopher Daniels and Matt Sydal take on the Young Bucks. Jack Perry was on commentary. He was being an idiot as always. But yeah, it was a good match. The Bucks cheated, of course, right? The heel EVPs. But also, we found out during Dynamite that I guess in Japan Eddie Kingston got hurt, and he now cannot wrestle in the Anarchy in the Arena event happening this Sunday at Double or Nothing. So he will be replaced. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. I'm going to continue on with what happened in the show. Hook, that is Taz that used to wrestle in ECW's son, he won a quick submission match against a young local jobber from some promotion that was probably close by. But he called out Jericho, saying that he wants his FTW championship back. This one's not been one of AEW's best storylines. It seems like lately anybody that takes on Chris Jericho, kind of like how can I put this into words? Like, nobody's invested in it. I'll just leave it at that. Nobody's invested with anybody with Jericho anymore due to the controversy with him. And then World Heavyweight Champion Swerve Strickland took on his former friend Brian Cage. Swerve beat him. It was a really good match, from what I remember. Lots of heavy hitting from Cage, but Swerve used his acrobatics to take care of Brian Cage, and then on also on Dynamite we had Dax Harwood took on Okada, and again another great match, but that had to end by elite shenanigans with Okada hitting a low blow on Dax to beat him. But that is where we get the big reveal. My guy right here, Darby Allin, he's deciding to come off injury. He's still a little bit banged up, but he is going to replace Eddie Kingston in the Anarchy in the Arena event at Double or Nothing to defend Team AEW Can't wait. Glad to see Darby's back. He had he had a post there after the show saying that recently, in a match he broke his foot against Jay White like about a couple months back. It's healed up enough that he can wrestle, but about a couple weeks after I met him, he was in New York City and got hit by a bus, broke his nose, so his nose is all taped up. Probably his ankle will be taped up heavily. So let's just say Team AEW not coming into this match at 100%, but they got heart. I think it'll be a good match there, double or nothing between them and the Elite. It should be a pretty good show. And then also on Dynamite there was a confrontation between my guy Will Ospreay and Roderick Strong of the Undisputed Kingdom, which will lead into what I'm going to be talking about next, about Saturday's Collision with Will Ospreay had a match against Shane Taylor, a really good match that I'm going to talk about here in a minute. All right. Getting it pulled up here. Okay, so Will Ospreay took on Shane Taylor, even though it felt like a lot of help for Shane Taylor. He had his guy who Will Ospreay beat last week, Lee Moriarty, in his corner, and he had the Undisputed Era in his corner. Sorry, not Undisputed Era. Sorry about that. Undisputed Kingdom in his corner. But yeah, it was a good match. Will Ospreay defied the odds. Just like how World Heavyweight Champion Swerve Strickland used his acrobatics to take down the big man, so did Will Ospreay. Again, really good match. One of the toughest opponents, I think, as a big guy for Will Ospreay so far. It was a really good match. This Sunday, Will Ospreay will be taking on Roderick Strong, which there was a funny bit there in the match. Ospreay threw some water on Roderick Strong to get him all fired up. But yeah, I think that's going to be a heck of a wrestling match right there. And then also on Collision, we had Hook take on John Morrison, or as he's known now as Johnny TV, I guess. Hook defeated him. I didn't get to see this match, so I can't really give you my best reaction to it, but yeah. And then we had also on Collision, we had Rocky Romero took on Shibata. It was a good match. Very more technical wrestling. If you like the Kurt Angle kind of style of pro wrestling, that's like kind of like what it was. But very good match. We had the Battle of the Cassidys. We had Orange Cassidy took on Isaiah Cassidy, with Orange Cassidy getting the victory. I'm sure we're going to get more with him taking on Trent Beretta, which we actually are. This week on Dynamite, we're going to get Will Ospreay and Orange Cassidy are supposed to take on Trent Beretta and Roderick Strong, so that'll be a interesting tag match, especially because Will Ospreay and Orange Cassidy, they when the AEW world was first introduced to Will Ospreay, one of his first opponents was Orange Cassidy, and it was a phenomenal match then, but now they're going to have to be teammates, so we shall see how that's all going to go. And oh boy, what else happened? Oh, we had Bryan Danielson teamed up with FTR to take on Lance Archer and the Righteous, and Bryan Danielson and FTR won. I didn't see this match either, but yeah, pretty good stuff so far from AEW. Can't wait for Double or Nothing this weekend. There's some big matches for this week's on regular TV on Dynamite. That's on Wednesdays. Let me get it pulled up here. Alrighty, these are the matches set for AEW Dynamite on this coming Wednesday. We got, as I said earlier, Orange Cassidy and Will Ospreay taking on Trent Beretta and Roderick Strong. We're gonna get Timeless Tony Storm and Mariah May taking on Harley Cameron and Saraya, otherwise known as Paige. For those of you that don't know, that she's going by her real name now, Saraya, in AEW. And then we are also getting a title eliminator match to see who's going to take on Chris Jericho at Double or Nothing. We are going to get Hook, Brian Keith, and versus Shibata in a triple threat title eliminator match to take on Chris Jericho at Double or Nothing. And then we're going to get Swerve Strickland taking on Nick Wayne of Christian Cage's group. That is who Nick Wayne is. So to get Swerve ready to take on Christian on Sunday. On Wednesday, he's going to take on Nick Wayne. Hopefully, he mops the floor with him. And then Takeshita from the Don Callis family is going to take on Matt Sydal. I think we're going to see Takeshita versus John Moxley. at Double or Nothing for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. That is the New Japan Pro Wrestling Championship for those of you that don't know. And Bryan Danielson is going to take on Satnam Singh. That he is this big brute guy. Should be an interesting match. We always like to see Bryan take on be like the David and Goliath kind of style matches. Are always good matches for him. But yeah, that's all I got in wrestling this week. Monday Night Raws tonight. Big things happening in sports. Going to close it off with the Pittsburgh talking about the Pittsburgh Pirates, who just won a series this past weekend. They beat the Cincinnati, wow. Had to edit that one out. The Chicago Cubs. But yeah, it was highlighted by Paul Skeens lighting up the MLB world, showing that he might just be the best pitcher in baseball today. So, hey, let's go Bucks. But yeah, it's been a great The Man Andy Show. Glad to be back. Gonna be back again later on this week to talk about the big stuff that happened in the comic book world with what's been going on with Marvel, with the X-Men 97. Will be my spoiler review. So if you haven't watched the show, I recommend you go watch it first before listening to that episode. And I'll also talk about my anticipation for the big Marvel movie of the summer coming later on this summer with Deadpool and Wolverine. Can't wait to talk about that. But this is the Man Andy checking out. Baby. Boom.